If Donald Trump thinks he can lie his way out of his criminal attack on the peaceful protesters in Los Angeles, he is sorely mistaken, because as Donald Trump tries to twist the narrative, Gavin Newsom just hits back that much harder. And that is exactly what we saw today after a leaked call between Trump and Newsom not only showed Donald Trump's lies, exposed his attack on LA, but humiliated him as then Fox tried to cover for Donald Trump, posting what they claim to be a receipt of his lie. But actually, it just proved how wrong he was. This is a total humiliation that we're going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way in supporting the work that we are doing on this channel. Now, before we can get into that call between Trump and Newsom that is blowing up in his face, I want to start with the latest news from the governor that we can see right here. Gavin Newsom just released a tweet, breaking news: I just filed an emergency motion to block Trump's illegal deployment of Marines and the National Guard in Los Angeles. Trump is turning the U.S. military against American citizens. The court must immediately block these illegal actions. So not only has Gavin Newsom sued the Trump administration for sending in the National Guard, but now he has filed suit against this attack, mobilizing and deploying Marines on the peaceful protesters in Los Angeles. Gavin Newsom is fighting back not just against Trump, but really all of MAGA and the sick, twisted narrative that they're trying to push right now. So before we get into how Trump was exposed, I want to check out a great example of this, because I think it's so important that we fight back against this broader narrative. And it starts with lies from Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin right here.
So have you guys heard what Governor Newsom just did? He literally is suing the President of the United States for deploying the National Guard to protect his state and his city. Can you imagine this? Because he's trying to do something that the governor's not willing to do, and that's by restoring law and order. Now keep in mind, the chief of police of LA has already said that he's overwhelmed and he needs help. Governor Newsom wasn't responding, so the president did. People act like this is something new. It's not new. President Eisenhower did this in '57 and employed the 101st Airborne. JFK did this in '62 and '63, and LBJ did this in '65. So this isn't anything new. When the governor is refusing to act and protect its citizens, when a mayor of his town is refusing to act, the president has the authority to do just exactly what President Trump is doing.
So Newsom responded to that tweet from Markwayne Mullin saying, if you want to discuss violence, let's start with your state's murder rate, which is 40% higher than California's, referring to the state of Oklahoma. I love that Gavin Newsom is taking this as an opportunity to point out the chaos caused by MAGA, caused by the Trump administration. That is the narrative here. It is not that there's chaos in California, but chaos being caused by Donald Trump. And what he said right here is such important context for why the lie about his call with Newsom is just so bad.
National Guard be in California indefinitely. How long will they be there until you think?
Until there's no danger. It's easy. Look, it's common sense. You ask me that question. When there's no danger, they'll leave. You would have had a horrible situation had I not sent them in. Horrible. You'd be reporting on a lot of death and a lot of destruction that's not going to take place. I think if you look, every night it got less and less. They were met with very strong force, the bad people, the bad, sick people that do what they do. But these are paid people in many cases, not in all cases, but in many cases. And they really are, they're agitators.
I was wondering if you had any...
Donald Trump says that he's keeping Marines there, keeping the National Guard because it's keeping people safe. That is not true. Donald Trump is creating the danger. He is creating the unrest, and he refused to engage with anyone actually on the ground who can tell him that what he is doing is hurting that community. But of course, it's what he wants. That's what the LAPD is saying, that Donald Trump has created the unrest, and it's why when he lied about talking with Governor Newsom, which we will just see now, things went so poorly. Let's take a look at this video and then Gavin's response.
When is the last time you spoke with Governor Newsom?
A day ago. Called him up to tell him, got to do a better job. He's doing a bad job, causing a lot of death and a lot of potential death. If we didn't send out the National Guard, and last time we gave him a little additional help, you would have Los Angeles would be burning right now. Los Angeles would be not a lot different than what you saw take place in California and Los Angeles just a little while ago.
Gavin responded to Trump's claim, writing, "There was no call, not even a voicemail. Americans should be alarmed that a president deploying Marines onto our streets doesn't even know who he's talking to." Donald Trump is completely out of it. He says, as we saw in that clip just a few moments ago, that the Marines will be there until he decides. He's clearly in cognitive decline. He has no plan. He just wants to gin up anger, and he's calling in all of his supporters to try to twist this narrative, but it's not going well. Gavin Newsom said there was no call. Donald Trump did not talk to him yesterday. And what does Fox do? They try to cover it up. Take a look right here.
On his way to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where he'll be in just a little while. He said the first call to Gavin Newsom was not picked up. The second call Gavin picked up. We spoke for 16 minutes. I told him to essentially, quote, and this is quoting the president, get his ass in gear and stop the riots, which were out of control more than anything else. This shows what a liar he is. Said I never called. So here is the evidence. And here is the call log that the president sent me from his phone. This was June the 7th. Now, granted, this was on Saturday, but look, there's 1:22 o'clock in the morning, which would have been 10 o'clock at night, 10:22 at night, California time. There was an outgoing call for 4 seconds, and then there was an outgoing call for 16 minutes. So that from the president, which says is proof that he spoke to Gavin Newsom early in the morning, our time, late at night, Friday night, would have been June 6th, I guess, in Los Angeles. So, Governor, over to you for the response.
Say that's next, right? We're waiting to see what if Governor Newsom has a response to the president's. Essentially, what he has there is the receipt for what he says is the call that was made.
So Fox tries to cover for Trump, says no, he did talk to Governor Newsom. He talked to him Saturday. But that's not what Gavin said, and that's not what Trump said. Trump is claiming that he talked to him yesterday. And if my fake watch is correct right there, it is Tuesday. So one day before that, Donald, I know dates are hard. I know things aren't working too well up there, would be Monday. Donald Trump is not up to date on what is happening in LA. He just wants to create chaos. And Fox accidentally just proved that Donald Trump was lying about speaking to Governor Newsom. Newsom talked about on Saturday night that he had spoken with Donald Trump. It's when he said he called him a liar. So yes, of course, we know that they spoke at one point, but they haven't spoken recently because Donald Trump actually doesn't know what is happening and he doesn't care to, which just completely blows up this MAGA narrative about Donald Trump wanting to stop the chaos, Donald Trump wanting to quell the opposition, to prevent the civil unrest. Donald Trump doesn't even know what day of the week it is. How could he possibly make a community safer? That is what we are seeing here. Incompetence that causes chaos. MAGA always likes to frame the chaos of the Trump administration, and I always say this, as mean tweets that the liberals get upset at. These aren't mean tweets. This is deploying Marines and causing unrest because of it, and doing so to the tune of about $140 million. And that number is only going to explode as Donald Trump continues to keep them there for no reason. As his brain breaks. It is crazy. And that is why it is also so important to call out the person aiding Donald Trump in doing this. That's Pete Hegseth. We saw Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro do that this morning, and I want to take a look.
Courtesy. Thanks, gentlemen. Ms. DeLauro.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to focus, Mr. Secretary, my question on submarines and our national security, our military shipbuilding, and as I said specifically, submarines, critical investment for national security and for the economy of my home state of Connecticut. This is a yes or no question, Mr. Secretary. Do you agree that continued investment in the Department of Defense in submarine production is in fact critical to the United States national security and military readiness?
Very critical.
Okay, so yes, thank you, and we agree. They'll continue to be a critical asset to deter adversaries, sustain the advantage we have in undersea domain, and the Defense Department should continue to support these programs. What is the status of the Department's investments in submarine programs?
14% increase in FY26 on the Columbia, and a substantial increase in the Virginia as well. So we're ensuring a submarine industrial base that has been left behind, that has been neglected, is fully invested to
we
make
have
sure
funded
we're
the
speeding
submarine
up on
base.
funding the submarines.
More than half, and you can go back to last December, but I want to move on. Do you know where our submarine production currently stands, and whether current production is sufficient to bridge the gap between current fleet size and projected need?
There is a gap, but we believe we are closing it, ma'am. Yes.
And if you can get to us the information about how, in fact, that you can close that gap, because we do not have any information or data that can substantiate what you're saying. Your department's initial budget proposal includes incremental funding for the Columbia-class submarine. Is that going to raise alarm bells across the defense industrial base by signaling a lack of commitment to the program?
No, we could not, ma'am. We could not be more committed to Columbia. The centrality in the triad, ensuring it delivers on time, it's central to the deterrent and the base of the United States. So
do you know how much of a financial hole this will create for the defense industrial base? Will there be a financial hole for the defense industrial base in 2026?
Certainly not based on our projections. There is not a hole. We're investing in Columbia robustly.
Okay, without numbers, it's my understanding the department is planning to move $3.1 billion for the Columbia class from 2026 and spread it over 2027 and 2028. This creates a serious problem for industry in the short term and hampers shipbuilders' ability to reach an adequate production rate. Have you been in contact with Electric Boat or with Huntington Ingalls about your plans?
Almost every day, our Deputy Secretary of Defense, alongside our Secretary of the Navy, are actively engaged with all of our shipbuilders and shipyards to make sure their needs not only are being met, but their shortfalls are being addressed so that we can close that gap in real time, which has existed.
So that you can really lay out for us the information and which we would like to get, this committee needs to take a look at, because I know you believe that submarines are important, as I do, but getting the specific information about where we stand, what the production rate is, what gaps there may be. We're willing to listen to all of that because, in fact, in contrast to what your earlier statement was, we have, in fact, supported mightily the submarine industrial base from this committee. That has not been neglected.
This administration is fully out of control and wholly unequipped to do their jobs. They are incompetent, they are causing chaos, they are out of control, and we need to call it out. It is why independent media is so important right now, because as Donald Trump gets the corporate media to bend the knee, we are speaking up. And if you want to support this channel in doing that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.